I'm really excited about what I get to introduce next. This is historically one of the highlights of the conference, and I'm about to introduce our Trailblazer panel. So these are trailblazers who at one time were sitting exactly where you are. They went home and they got out there and they started teaching infinite possibilities, and they're going to be sharing what they did and what they learned and how they got there along the way. So first I'd like to bring up to the stage all of my trailblazers who are on my panel. Come on up. Them in order, and then when we start, they're going to go along. So when I call your name, please stand. So the first person I want to introduce is Appio Hunter. Appio! He's been responsible for helping with all of the PowerPoints and getting them all loaded onto the computer. So an extra round of applause. Just in March of this year, when he came across the audiobook in his local library. The Infinite Possibilities message resonated with him, and in May, he took his first baby step toward changing his life and the lives of others by signing up for the notes from the universe. His fifth note from the universe contained an invitation to the Denver Train the Trainer conference. Appio jumped at the opportunity and then took his second baby step, and 2 weeks later, he was in Denver. Since then, he has taught nearly 24 people who haven't yet been reached, and he is gearing up to teach hundreds more. Next on the panel is April. April is an author, life coach, motivational speaker, teen mentor, and doula. She is the founder of Infinite Possibilities Utah and Professional Doulas of America. She has been speaking and teaching classes for over 10 years. As a doula, she has attended the birth of over 300 babies. She is the mother of 2 teens. I know she wasn't listening. A son aged 17 and a daughter aged 16, both of whom consider the law of attraction child's play. Her passion and pursuit is to bring Infinite Possibilities message to youth of all ages. Her ultimate goal is to inspire and empower them into building the life of their dreams before someone tries to tell them they can't. She has introduced Infinite Possibilities into the K-12 program in Utah. She hopes to build an army of Infinite Possibility teen trainers. Next is Gloria Savannah Austin. Born and raised in Orlando, Florida, Gloria by day as an account executive for a national trade show company selling custom exhibits and immersive environments, always with a desire to do something bigger than life itself. After many years of trial by fire and figuring out what she didn't want to do, she took a Train the Trainer course in June of 2012 and was certified as an Infinite Possibilities trainer. She hit the ground running, armed with her glass half full philosophy and her no guts, no Gloria style. She jumped in with Norberto Perez 1 hour after the June 2012 conference, and after blazing a trail there in the jail, she has set her sights on teaching at the Lake County Jail. She has now completed 2 full 8-week courses there, and there is a waiting list for the 3rd class that starts in Alex Vargas. transformation center. They focus on not only on their physical selves, but also improving themselves personally, professionally, and psychologically. His personal niche of clients are referred to as the DIME pieces, which is an acronym for Determined, Intelligent, Motivated, and Evolving Woman that wants to take positive energy to activate constant elevation. His mission on Earth is to help awaken the unique truth that lays in us all. Next on the panel is Caitlin Russell. Caitlin is living the life of her dreams with everything that she does and recognizes that every moment of life is an opportunity of greater fulfillment and a gift to be received. She enjoys many forms of creative expression, which include creating a beautiful choker designs, writing from her heart, motivational speaking, coloring books, and roller skating, just to name a few. She works as a certified peer support specialist, inspiring, uplifting, encouraging, and sharing the message of life's magic with peers who are now where she once was with drug addiction and mental health challenges from which she has developed her greatest strengths. Caitlin has changed the atmosphere of her workplace by training a third of her teammates so that even greater change may be effective with the peers they work with. A true lover of life, in her off time you can often find her giving out free hugs. Caitlin has never been happier in life, is always expecting great things to happen, and is finally at a place where she's able to embrace everything that makes herself and others uniquely, strange, wonderfully different, and beautifully weird. And our last panelist is Camille. She's an author, she's an actress, and she's an advocate for positive change. Camille incorporated Mike's Infinite Possibilities material with her book, Small Shoes, Outgrowing Old Relationships and Finding the Right Fit. Creating workshops for teens and adults seeking a new positive style of thinking and living. Since just June of 2013, Camille has facilitated 3 full-day Kick Up Your Heels, a day of infinite possibility workshops for over 70 adults, and co-facilitated 1 pro bono half-day workshop with fellow trailblazer Jackie Clark for the Attitude House, a home for disadvantaged women. Camille uses her IP training as founder of Kids for Positive Change, an enrichment program encouraging kids K-12 to take steps for a brighter future by addressing and taking action on local and global welfare issues.
Very happy to be here. Very happy to be here. Just give a presentation up here real quick, and then we will talk a little bit about what got me here to Denver, what brought me here, and what I call reflections on reality for the average Joe. Or Jane. Now, just so you guys know, this question always comes up. So I figured before I even get into saying anything at all, I will clear up the air. The question always surfaces, where does your name come from? Right? So I will tell you. My name dates back to the Roman Empire. I was named after the builder of the Appian Way. His name was Appius Claudius Caesar. There we go. Better, right? Yes, okay, that's much better. I'm actually used to having my, being with my family, being from Brazil, I'm used to waving my arms all over the place. We express ourselves that way, so, I'm not used to having this. But, so with my name being from, dating back to the Roman Empire, and, the Appian Way, I figured, I'll play with that. Why not? But for those of you who speak Spanish in the room, I do realize that when you spell my name with one P, it does mean celery. I understand that, and that's okay because it's very appropriate, because usually when I wake up in the morning, I'm in a half vegetative state anyway. So, well, it works. So, like I said, I was said in the introduction, I was introduced to Infinite Possibilities back in March of this year. And it was amazing for me because I had spent a long time trying to figure out the secret of the secret, if you will. And for me, it was really, I don't know why it was so difficult, but it was when I encountered Mike's work and Infinite Possibilities that it really clicked for me. So I took my first baby step toward creating the life of my dreams by signing up for Notes from the Universe. Around that same time, I was going through a situation, somebody who was very close to me was going through a difficult crisis. During that crisis, I was trying to find a way to give back to the people who were helping him through the worst of it. My fifth note from the universe, I received that invitation very badly. I jumped on it and I took it. So when I went to Denver, when I took that baby step, and that was my baby step, signing up for Notes from the Universe, I didn't realize that that one small step would turn into a giant leap. So when I got to Denver, I was surrounded by these incredible people, but I felt so out of my league. Because here I was. I was just like this average Joe. I felt like I didn't have anything special to contribute. I was surrounded by life coaches and trainers and people who are professionals who are doing this all the time. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? But within 12 hours, I started to feel like I was amongst an incredible family of kindred spirits. And being in that family of kindred spirits made me realize I guess I did have something very wonderful to contribute. This, I say in celebration because when you make a decision to do something, the universe really throws a big party, and I'm not talking about a little family together. Okay? We're talking one of those Brazilian block parties where you invite 50 people, 5,000 show up. You go crazy until the morning, and then you wake up in the following afternoon with a massive hangover, but very, very happy, and that's what happens to me. So I felt like I was celebrating my life. I felt like I had been liberated to do some incredible things. And these are some of the folks from my Appio family that we had fun with back in Denver. So while I was there, I realized that there are some incredible gifts that, yes, I did have. And so I got back to Salt Lake, where I live. I was happy, I was excited, I was thrilled. And 2 weeks later, I was teaching a class. Well, I have to admit I cheated a little bit, because when I got back before I even went to Denver, I was telling a lot of my coworkers, this is what I'm going to be doing. And they were like, dude, I didn't think you could be more enthusiastic than you typically are, but you were just like explosive right now. So I had 10 people signing up for my class before I even went to Denver. Just stacked and enthusiastic. So okay, fine. I get back, I teach my class, and then I go on and I teach some additional friends. I teach my mom. And I even invited a fellow with me for moral support. Speaking of which, April, just do me a quick favor. Would you please stand? Just really fast. This lady right here exemplifies what it means to be an Appio, folks, because she gives without thinking. She is constantly reaching out to those who have not yet been reached. And I am here in large part because of this lady. So, before I knew it, I was a trailblazer. Me, this average Joe who felt like he didn't have anything special to share, I was a trailblazer. And I was absolutely amazed about the fact that, yes, I had reached that point. So when I reflect back on my reality, I have to admit that I didn't think I would be standing up here. So for those of you who are struggling with your own fears, your own paralysis by analysis, let me share some of my thoughts, how you can be standing here, and how you can share infinite possibilities with all of your colleagues. First, just get into action. For me, the only way to overcome the paralysis by analysis was to just schedule that class and move forward. I made it non-negotiable and irrevocable. I had to move forward, because otherwise I would be gripped by fear. That was, of course, the old me, not anymore. I'm standing up here, so I guess it's something, right? So, one of the things I did learn is that even though you may be nervous, your heart may be pounding, it doesn't matter, because as Mike has said, and I'm sure you've probably heard, there's no way to screw this up. You can't screw this up, because those screw-ups inevitably turn into wonderful teaching moments that could not have existed and besides, you're the only one who knows that. And it does turn into an incredible teaching moment. So enjoy it, move forward, and just take that ready, fire, aim approach. Just make adjustments as you go along. That's how I live my life. I like to say I live my life by discovery, not by design. So do that. Second, to answer another burning question, you are good enough to do this. Okay? You are absolutely good enough to do this. I say that because the fact that you're here in Boston means that you believe in yourself enough to have come here. Each and every single one of you took a baby step to get here. So the fact that you're even here means that you are good enough to do this. Believe in yourself, and you can actually do this. Third, just be yourself. Okay? I mean, be yourself, because, and this bears repeating. You've heard this repeatedly during the weekend, and it does bear repeating. There are people that only you can reach. The universe knows how to connect you with those people that only you can reach. And you can do so mostly by being yourself. So if you like to use lots of props, fantastic. If you just like to get up and just pour out your heart, fantastic. There's, again, no right or wrong way to get out there and to reach the people that you want to reach. For me, the people I reached initially were the people who were friends, colleagues, people who were already interested in law of attraction, universal laws, things like that. But where you really, really start to make a difference is when you reach out to the people who you feel drawn to. For me, since I was 5 years old, I've always known that my mission, my purpose, was to bring joy to those who have lost it. I live in a state where we have a shockingly high teenage suicide rate, one of the highest in the United States. And almost 60% of those suicides come from LGBT youth who feel rejected by their families. And the same thing, there's a lot of adults who have a difficult time accepting themselves as well. These are the people who I am passionate about reaching. These are the people who have not yet been reached out to. Because they deserve to know that life is not only beautiful, and that their default setting isn't just thriving, but also living in joy and bliss and harmony every moment of every day. So, I just want to say that people are in fact waiting for you. Go out there, be yourselves, spread the message. And believe me, I I know that you will do great. So, thank you.
Appio is right. I went to his classes, but I didn't do it to support him so much because I wanted to see what he was doing. Right? When he got home, he hit the ground running. And all I know is I'm so thankful that we're not flying home in the same plane because we would vibrate it right out of the sky. So who in here is ready to go home and become a trailblazer, really? Party to end. Now, let me tell you something really cool. On the night of Appio's second class, I suddenly had a vision of him in my mind, in the future. A vision of him standing in front of a large audience, sharing his own unique infinite possibilities message. But the problem was, I saw him from down there, not up here. Two amazing teenagers home. They're insanely awesome. My son just barely turned 18 10 days ago. My daughter, Kevin, just turned 17. I'm sorry I'm emotional. And my son really wanted to come here. He was like, I'm 18 in 10 days, and I'm able to go. But I was like, no, I want to go have a party. Denver, I didn't get to do that. This is what I wanted to. Now, when I first learned infinite possibilities, my kids really didn't have any choice but to go along for the ride, right? And I meant literally, like, in the car, we drove around in circles, pretending to take road trips so that they would have to listen to infinite possibilities. What happened after that was nothing short of a miracle. They knew what the truth was. They didn't think. They knew that it was right. And they began making miracles with it. Now, I won't lie, having kids being IP expert, side effect. Okay? I can't tell you how many times they remind me that my thoughts are becoming my feelings. And every time I want to bop one of them in the nose when they remind me of that. So for example, I say, man, I'm really having a hard time paying this bill. They say, only because you say you are. I say, I'm really having a hard day today. They say, only because you say you are. I'm like, man, I think that my butt kind of looks big in this dress. They say, yeah, you're right. What we do come my daughter says, stop being thinking, Mom, when are you going to get that through your head? It's really annoying. So this actually caused me to start, questioning my own life, looking at my own life. And when I was young and their age, I wanted, my only life goal was to travel around the world. First stop, London. Had a picture of Big Ben on the wall. Really cool, right? So You can see there's masturbation on there. So when I decided, when I was 20, that it was time to get a family, get married, that kind of thing, I decided to have my kids young and really close together. So that way, when I was 40, they would be leaving home, and I would be traveling around the world, right? So at that time, I didn't tell myself any limiting beliefs because I was too young. You guys don't like that picture? Is it gross? I didn't tell myself limiting beliefs. I didn't say when you're 40, April, you will not have the money, or you won't have the ability, or your ass might be fat and you won't be going anywhere, right? I didn't have that in me. Now, I visualize my end result over and over and over more times than I can count. So I said in my mind, when I'm 40, those thoughts become things, thinkers will be leaving home. Wait, I didn't think about where they would be going. Okay, anyway, thoughts leaving home, and I'll be globetrotting around the world. Yeah, that's not what I meant. Thoughts become things. Be careful about that. Be careful what you wish for. Now, on January 17th, this upcoming January, I'll be 40. Does anyone know where the next trainer conference is? Right. What's wrong with that? Right? Nothing. So, great birthday gift, universe. Airfare to London? What do you say? Okay, so my daughter, the thought to become a things girl, she thought that it was stupid that it took me 20 years to manifest that. And she wanted to one-up me. She thought it would be fun, okay? She's a really big fan of One Direction. Do you guys know who they are? So they were on X Factor in Britain, sorry, emotional. And Simon and Cal put them together and made a boy band. Now she wanted nothing else but to meet them. And she visualized and visualized, because she took your advice, her end result. Yeah, she likes Harry Styles. She visualized that. So when I told her where the next Train the Trainer conference was going to be, at first she cried, and then she ran laps around the block. So what's the moral of the story? The story is that when our teens, and I know many people want to work with them, when they get this, when they understand that their thoughts become things, they go crazy. They can do whatever they want. They conjure up all kinds of miracles. They get really annoying, but it's really cool, right? So, do you have any connections with Simon and Cal? Because if you do, maybe a note from the universe could say something like this. Yes, that is right, Simon. Your life is filled with dreams and miracles as big as the sea. And funnily enough, there's a girl in Utah who's going to pee in the event she gets to meet Wendy. You can reach her at 811 Tally Oak Universe. So, in October of last year, we saw a news story. About this beautiful girl who had taken her life because of bullying. And my daughter and I couldn't have blood anymore, knowing that kids were taking their life. And much like Mike, when he had that girl on the street corner, I was screaming in my head, there are other ways you don't have to take your life. And I wanted some way to reach teens. I begged the universe to give me a way to reach should write a book? Should I call people up? Hey, so I read Infinite Possibilities 152 times, and I would like to teach this to teens. What's that? Infinite Possibilities? Well, it's a really cool book by Mike Dooley. Dooley. D-O-O-L-E-Y. You know the bald one that's in The Secret? He's the one that says, look at the back of your hands, vroom, vroom, kind of thing. And what are my credentials? I don't have any. I'm not totally sucked. But the universe conspired on my behalf. Now, I wrote down in my book that I wanted to meet Mike Dooley. I'm very ambitious. You can see it's goal 380, right? And since Mike was my hero, and of course he knew all my secrets, I had to meet him. Can you see it says, I love meeting equal Conrad, right? Awesome. So shortly after this, I got an invitation to playing The Matrix, and went, and it was so incredibly awesome. Now, for those of you who haven't been, Mike gives all participants a postcard. You fill it out anonymously, writing a note from the universe. And this is what mine said. I love you for your ability to be selfless. I admire how you would do anything to pacify a loved one. It makes me happy that one day you will know and appreciate compassion as I do. You're an amazing soul. I know you will soon travel the world to your top destinations. You are the best and deserve so much. Your amazing universe. Yes, the world will be lost without you. Right? Awesome. So, you guys have been given a wealth of knowledge this past couple days. It's like sitting on a big gigantic pile of gold. You've got gold under you. And you can choose to share it, or you can sit on it, not give it out to anybody. Now, Mike, our fearless leader, decided he had to share his pile of gold with the world. And each and every single one of you in here has received a piece of that gold. So, you can go home and sit on it. I promise you, it doesn't feel good. Or, you can share it. And it doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't matter who you talk to. And we keep saying over and over and over and over and over that the people that need to be reached by you will. Right? So, I'm begging you, please go home, take this wealth of knowledge, and share it. Because people want to hear what you have to say. Now, I didn't know how it would happen for me. I had no idea. But the universe conspired on my behalf. And so now I'm able to go out there and I'm blazing my trail of gold. And I'm reaching those kids that I wanted to reach. And I hope that you do the same. Thank you.
To do before I start this part of my presentation. Can somebody pass this to Mike? This is my permission slip to get out of work tomorrow, and I'd like the universe to sign it. Who doesn't want to go to work tomorrow? Show of hands. We keep things pretty simple at the jail, so I have one slide. So blink if you get bored. It's pretty simple there. We don't have a lot of resources, but I am going to use my little cards more than probably most. Appio is going to hold the mic for me because we're getting ready to do an exercise that we do in the jail on our first class during introduction. On your table, there's a white sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. Can you grab that real quick? We have limited time, so let's move fast. So basically, when the ladies come in, the quickest way to engage them is to just start talking to them. You've got about 90 seconds before they've sized you up and they've decided if this is going to be a good thing or not. So we start out about the first 5 or 10 minutes, and I hand them a piece of paper, and I ask them to close their eyes. And if you can see me, that means your eyes are not closed. So hold up the piece of paper. Okay, closing your eyes, I want you to fold the piece of paper in half. Okay, keeping your eyes closed, tear off the top right corner of this piece of paper. Okay. Take the paper, fold it, eyes still closed, fold it in half again. Okay. Now tear off that top right piece of paper, corner. Okay. Okay, so your paper's getting thicker, eyes are still closed. Your mind's wondering what's going on. Okay, fold it in half one more time again, and you're going to have to, it's getting really thick, so you're going to have to crease it, and you might have to tear it with your teeth. But I want you to tear off that other right corner. Okay. Everybody got done? Okay. Open your eyes. And I think everybody's paper should look like mine, right?
Sure.
Great easy exercise to start your class out with people in a situation where you don't have a lot of resources. There's no right or wrong way to do this program. And it's any way you see it or you experience it in your mind is okay. Okay? Does that work for you? You can do that anywhere. So I will probably get emotional and just have to excuse me. That's what we use in the beginning, and that's a great icebreaker for kids or for adults or for people in jail, people out in homeless shelters. I feel privileged to be able to stand up here and do this today, and this feels really flippin' great to be on stage with these wonderful people. Every class that graduates, my heart gets bigger and bigger. And I'm sorry. I love it when I'm driving down the road and I see a piece of grass or a flower growing out of the concrete. Much like what you guys in my one's like. It's heroic. I would swerve out of the way, or I quietly honor and say, you go little weed, you go little flower. And when I go to the jail, my first experience when Norberto invited me in and I saw the orange jumpsuits. And it's a cold steel concrete environment, not a lot of pictures, not a lot of color, it's gray and kind of dreary sometimes. The orange jumpsuits reminded me of little flowers that were sprinkled throughout. And they're pretty flippin' heroic when you get to know them. It's a blessing for me. It came at a great time in my life. I'm 52 years old. It was about a year and a half ago when I took the trainer. And I found out in watching them the life lessons that I started to get, and it wasn't an intentional thing. I didn't even believe I wanted to become a teacher. That was not on my radar. But watching them, it's about perseverance, and it's not linear at all. I mean, I've never been a linear person. I always seem to get to the other side of the shoreline with everybody, but it's not always a straight, pretty line. And it's not for them either. It's kind of like watching a leaf fall from a tree, and it goes forward a little bit, and it kind of waves backwards. And it's one step forward, 3 steps backwards. And you know that there's always going to be more to come, and as that unfolds, you watch them become better versions of themselves, and by doing this, for me, it's created a better version of myself that I never imagined. I didn't know that my heart had the capacity to get as big as it has. So watching them grow out of these little concrete cracks and places, and there's little cells that they kind of come out of, they're like little flowers that start showing up and popping up at the oddest and craziest places. Did you ever see Joe versus the Volcano movie? It's one of my favorite movies. The beginning opens with Tom Hanks walking into this dreary, awful job, and it's the rectal probe factory, which feels like a lot of people's work. And he's walking up this curved path, and there's this little flower, and it gets smashed down, but it bounces back up. And that's what these ladies remind me of. They've gotten smashed down, but they keep getting back up. And I started to relate. I surprised myself relating, and all of a sudden I found myself going, oh my gosh, this is why my heart is opening, because I'm relating. I'm becoming more vulnerable. The edges are getting a little bit more sand off by letting them share with me and me sharing things I've never shared with other human beings. And it's an honest, raw, open exchange of energy, and I love it. I'm coming up on my 4th class, and by the time this class graduates, I'll have had touched over 80 ladies, and I'm so thrilled to be able to do that. As I watched them and the aha moments go off, I realized there's puzzle pieces for my own well-being. They're falling into place. And alternative healing methods that I've employed, years of therapy, thousands of dollars spent on that. I'm teaching a class in jail for free in the most craziest of places for a nonconformist. And I'm healing. I'm doing things with my heart and my mind and my body, and my vision has just gotten so much bigger of what it is I want to do with this life. If you get one, it's not a dress rehearsal. So by being able to share and keeping things simple, it creates and paves the way in the space, gives space for them to do some really unimaginable things. I hope by talking to you today, it inspires you to take some action, hearing the other people on this panel. Maybe you are not drawn to jail work, but I was. For some reason, that path opened up. I consider it a calling. I didn't want to come to Train the Trainer because I felt like I didn't have the degrees or the credentials, the letters after my name. I hemmed and hawed for 2 weeks. I'd been getting the notes from the universe for several months. And then I see the Train the Trainer conference, and I go, my Orlando? Mike Dooley's in my Orlando? Oh my God. I did not know that. And then I thought, oh, I can. I mean, look at all the people, that you watch the thing flip across the top of the page, and I'm like, I'm not John Mayer. How could I do that? And I remember an early mentor in my life telling me that a PhD is just an acronym for piled higher and deeper. It's not, it kind of equalized, in my mind, it's like, they put their pants on one leg at a time like I do. So I hemmed and hawed for a couple of weeks, and my husband says, here's the credit card, sign up, do it. If you don't, I'm never going to hear the end of it. You're gonna regret that. So I got on there, I signed up for it. It was like a week before they were closing it out. And then I got the Facebook sign up. And I stalked them for about 15 minutes till I got sucked into the vortex. And then all of a sudden, people were reaching out to me saying, come on, it's gonna be great. Oh, what do I wear? What do I do? Just be yourself. That was the common theme that came through to me. So as expected, it was magical, just like you guys have just been through. It was wonderful, and I waited, didn't even really know until the morning of, where you guys are sitting right now, where I wanted to go with it. I met Norberto the last 20 minutes, and I cornered him over off to the side of the ballroom, and I said, Norberto, I believe in science, and the science I work half a mile from the jail. I think I need to come talk to you. Can you spend some time with me? Yeah, Gloria, sure, here's my card. And I drove home. I was lucky enough to live about 40 minutes away. So getting home, I said, if I don't take action on this, I work in the trade show world, and I know that people with big businesses spend lots of money to go there. But the biggest number one reason why they fail or that is not a success for them is because they never follow up. So following up for me meant I've got to do something. I can drive over to the jail, but they're not going to like it if I stalk them. I'm not going to be welcomed with open arms. So I emailed Norberto an hour after I got home that same day. And to my surprise, he emailed me back the next morning. Sure, Gloria. And it is Norberto way. I'll help you. I've got a drug center that you might be eligible to get into. And I said, well, what about the jail? He's like, well, I don't know. We have never done it on the women's side before. But I said, that's who I want to work with. Well, we had 2 pathways that I could have gone, and the other one kind of closed itself off. And before I knew it, within 2 weeks, I was getting a background check. Norberto said, come on in. I've got some stuff going on with the guys. You'll get familiar with it. I'll take you over. We'll meet the ladies. We'll introduce you. And we'll see if we can get some interest. Well, he took me back there. We spent some time doing that. And on our way back, you get to walk with Norberto, and you get to share some stuff, and he'll share different things. And you're walking through a 15-minute walk through barbed wire, through gates, through doors that's closed behind you. And he says, I didn't want to tell you at first, but you're going to be working with the second most highest risk group here. I said, well, okay, no pressure. It'll be okay, right? Well, what made it easier for me then was he invited me back to a meeting that he had on the men's side, and they were doing a business class. And I got to sit off to the side and actually write things down about what their presentation was about. And Norberto said, just give him a comment or two. And Norberto had gotten busy, and I'm sitting there by myself with 80 guys. And they were surrounding me, and I didn't realize I was talking to the guard at the end. There were 17 or 18 lined up wanting to know what I wrote down about him. Of course, visionary, you know. The presentation was stellar, you're gonna be a success. It was an amazing experience to go in there. And my 8 weeks, I had planned 1 hour segments, turned into 1.5 to 2 hours, and it was 11 weeks. You've got to be ready for the unexpected, the delay in getting access. And doing that, I was able to, take lunch breaks, go over there. But I said, this probably won't last because my job has to cause me to travel a lot. So I ended up taking a break and then waiting until early last year, or this past year, and started to reassess because I was no longer working near the jail. And still in touch with Orlando, or Norberto in Orlando, but just kind of waiting to see where my heart led me. And there was a jail near where I live, and I kind of knew the sheriff. So he had always said if I saw him at a community thing, if you ever need anything, my door's always open, and I figured I had one of those. And I was going to use it for good, not something that I wanted, selfishly a green light at the end of my street or something. I wanted to do something like this. So I walked in to his office after I had talked to his assistant. I thought, this is going to take forever. A week later, I'm in there talking to his assistant. Here comes the sheriff, the major, and the 2 chaplains. And for 25 minutes, I talked nonstop. Mike Dooley was all over the table. Videos were playing, music was playing, a workbook. I gave them each, handouts that I had planned to use. And they said yes. It wasn't that hard because I was doing it with my heart. I was doing it with passion, and I had already had the success thanks to Norberto. And it was just, I can't tell you, I worried about it for about 90 seconds walking in because it is a little unsettling to get in there and you realize, okay, if I change my mind and I get, I want to go home, you got to kind of wait. And they're gonna let you out. I found that out. But it's not something like, you don't want to look panicked. You just want to look like, oh, I do this all the time. And they eventually do let you go. One of the things I wanted to kind of call attention to, and again, like the shift will hit the fan no matter what, so be ready for that. No matter what situation you're going in, not just jail, you're going to have to be ready to be flexible. So little paper exercises and some of the handouts that I left on the table might help you with that. There's a statistics sheet, and don't take the time right now because I'm still talking. But it's long, and there's a flowers. It's an exercise we use in the last class, and we use that to find out what their plans or goals are beyond the 8 weeks. We do have some plans in the works to maybe extend it, make our program even bigger, and we're working on that. But these statistics will be kind of a startling thing, and for anybody on the fence about doing jail work, I hope that you'll read that. One of the things I need to also acknowledge, I have a partner. I started out by myself, but another lady that got trained, I want to acknowledge her publicly right now because my experience has grown exponentially. I can actually experience the class as well as teach it. Jan, will you stand up, please? And no holds barred when it comes to guided meditation. And we've got ladies in orange jumpsuits standing on one leg and doing things with their hands. It's amazing to watch that. And graduation is a wonderful time because we come in so excited. We wear graduation caps. We do burning bowls. The 2 hours goes by like nothing. But what I wanted to also share is that sometimes when life throws you a curveball, there are life-changing and defining moments that happen. Deaths of parents, births of grandchildren, amazing things, graduations. Imagine doing all of that when you're behind bars or experiencing that or not being able to experience that. And we get to watch that. But I can tell you that IP has helped kind of transition them in their thinking and flipping their thinking like they're not missing something, but they're preparing for something better when they do go back out there. Couple stories that, stand out for us because it was recent, but we've had, each class has had these amazing personalities that seem to tug at your heart. Graduation night, we've gotten comments where they sit along the side after we've passed out their certificates, and they stand here with tears in their eyes and they say, I've never finished anything in my life. Deputies come in when we hand out notes from the universe as we close every class, and they want their note from the universe. We are not allowed to accept gifts or notes, but they have passed them to us anyway. I don't advocate that. There's ways to do it. But the fist bumps and the touch of the hand or the pat on the back is heartfelt from them because they want to give us something back. They feel like we're doing something from our heart. And they have nothing else. That's all they've got is a piece of paper, a somewhat modernized pen, but it is pretty rough when they write. Vision boards, it would be great. We all love to do vision boards. We know what they are, but we kind of got everybody in trouble with vision boards. We had them, we were doing them, and the class found ways to actually adhere to the papers and the folders that we gave them in the inside of the workbooks with toothpaste, jelly from their jelly lids, mashed potatoes, I think were even mentioned one time. But they were doing them, and then they had the class that was on the waiting list behind them doing them. They were teaching others. And they were magnificent works of art, and then they got confiscated. And we were in fear of getting them in trouble, and we had to have a conversation with them. And we made them promise not to do it, so we kind of shifted our activities. But there's a couple ladies in there in this last class that stand out to Jan and I because they were just so animated and they were just so into it. We had to run to keep up with them with the workbook and the activities that we were doing. We have a lady named, her name was Alma. She gave birth 3 months ago. She had been in jail while she was pregnant. And watching her go from being very sad about that and not being able to be there after her child was taken away from her within that first hour, she hadn't seen him since, to having lunch with her cellmate and talking to Jan and I, we had these salads and we had this stack of cucumbers. We held them back, and when lunch was over, they took our trays away, and we had a spa day in our cells. We put the cucumbers on our eyes, and the guard came on and where do you think you are, a spy? And she's like, as a matter of fact, I do. They were helping each other imagine the experience. The guard made them flush their cucumbers, and then they brought the other ones out that they had held back. And they continued on with their spa day. Another lady, Miss Worthy, she has her lunch, and she had mashed potatoes, and she found a rock in there, and she was upset about that, and Jan reminded her that was the way the universe delivered her gratitude rock. I'm running long, and I apologize for that. The handouts and things, I hope that you'll take those and use them. The sunflower seed packets that are on there have wildflowers. That represents all the women that have not been reached. 2 sunflower seeds in there represent you and the ladies that we teach at the jail. And I just want to let you know that you have everything in you right now to do this work. You just have to step out on the limb and do it. John Wayne has got a great quote, and he says, courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway, and I hope that you will. Thank you.
Stuff to follow up those kick-ass people on. So I'm going to talk about my intention with using the material. My intention with using this material is to free people of their limitations and self-induced illusions. expose you to the truth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you by telling you what happened to me right after I left Denver 5 months ago. But before I start, I want everybody to stand. Talk about my first tip. I want everybody to close their eyes. Close, close, close. I want you to take 3 deep breaths. This time we're going to breathe in for 3 seconds. You're going to hold it for 3 seconds. Beautiful. You guys are doing great. And breathe out for 3 seconds. Good. Again, breathe in for 3 seconds. Hold for 3 seconds. 2. And breathe out. Nice. You guys are doing great. Now, when I count to 3, I want you guys to dig really, really deep inside of yourselves and release any fear, any doubt, any anger, or any repressed energy. But I want you guys to release it with a loud, primal yell. So on a count of 3, I want you guys to go ahead and let go. 1, 2, and 3. That was okay. Now let's try for real. Close your eyes again. I want you guys to really dig deep down inside. Pull all of it out. Just dig as far as you can. Release everything. Release so much, release so high, that you guys are going to feel like you're levitating. On 3. 1, 2, and 3. There you go, beautiful. How do you guys feel? You should always be able to catch your audience's attention. This is how I tend to wake people up in my audience. Do I have your attention? Now, I had 3 big ideas when I left Denver. Idea number 1 was to run a workshop for battered women at a women's shelter. Idea number 2 was to run a workshop at my studio. It was a 1-day workshop. And number 3 was to run a 3-month classroom setting workshop for my dimes. Kick-ass idea number 1, the women's shelter. So with this, I emailed the women's shelter. So I sent it out. It's been about 2 hours. I was like, yes, this is rocking. I'm doing great. I'm doing amazing. The universe is on my side. I'm going to kick ass. I'm going to go in there and light it up, right? Wrong. I got a rejection letter 2 weeks later telling me that they weren't ready for this because they were still dealing with issues with men. I had an ideal concept that if I were to go over there as a trusting man, that I would be able to help them empower themselves and get them back on the right foot. But apparently that wasn't it. You're going to run into this. You're going to run into walls, you're going to run into problems, you're going to run into issues that if you let them set you back, they will set you back. But it's normal. You just have to keep pushing. You have to keep going. So that's what I did. Idea number 2. I collaborated with one of my friends. He's been speaking for a while, and I thought, you know what? Why don't I do something with him, right? It'd be good for my confidence. You know, we both have audiences. We can kind of pitch it to everybody. And the premise behind this was living a life you love. And these are the logistics behind all of this, because this is kind of information that I wanted when I came here, because I had an agenda, I had a plan. I wanted some ideals, some numbers of what I could do with it. So, idea number one, we spread the word through Facebook and word of mouth. We charge $39.99 per person. We set up a PayPal account attached to an online ticket account. I think it was Eventbrite. Does that make sense? Yeah. That is it. 16 people purchased. We rented chairs. We developed a 3-page, easy-to-use workbook. And guess what? We rocked that out! Yeah! Tip number 2. Find a niche of people that you connect with. There's an audience out there for everybody. So the premise behind the Diamond Peace Project was stands for determined, intelligent, motivated, and evolving women that want to take positive energy to activate mass elevation. Is that I wanted to keep giving back to the world. I was brought up by a single mom, and I have an amazing, sexy wife that always supports me. And I wanted to give and empower more women in the world to support more guys like me that need it. So I invited 16 of my dimes to go through the very first Infinite Possibilities course. Again, logistics, right? I charged $10 for the workbooks. I charged $30 for the course. But this is what I did with them, is I made a contract that held them accountable towards all their actions and following through with everything that they're doing. I also put a $300 penalty behind it if they didn't follow through. Guess what? They followed through. Oh, by the way, they put down their credit card too, so it was real. Some of the highlights, real quick. We started each class sharing with a positive thought or feeling. So it was kind of like a circle of trust. It was kind of like, what have you been doing? I ran the classes 2 to 3 weeks in between, so I gave them time to digest the information and go through the workbook. My sexy wife hosted a vision board party with all the girls. I wasn't there. They brought all the materials, they had wine, food, it was really cool. It was so good that it happened again next week. And then they all came together and presented. It was really cool, really hot. They wrote a 10-year plan where they were their true authentic self, and they identified where they wanted to be. So we followed this up later with an hour-long conversation, kind of like how we did last night. And we role-played for an hour, and we were there, and we acted as if, and we put ourselves there. But then we took this out to happy hour. We had some wine, and the cool thing is they started talking to strangers about this, so it reinforced that belief system that they were these people, because they are these people, we are those people, I took them through a guided visualization exercise. So another thing that was going on is I gave them homework. And one of the homework assignments was to do a 5-minute guided visualization by themselves at home. What I was finding is nobody was doing it. So what I did is I took them all together collectively, and I did it in the class, and I showed them what the concept is and how easy it was, and how it was only just how 5 minutes helped them out. And then their final project was I had them write a letter from their future selves to their present selves, giving them advice. What would they say? What would that person say? And once I did that, I gave them their certificates. A bunch of girls cried, they laughed, and it was awesome. It was good, but I had a lot of fun and connected. And I think this is what this material does, is it allows you to come from a place of truth. It's simple. It allows you to connect, It allows people to bring out their true selves. So, tip number 3. People only remember 1 or 2 facts from their presentation. The primary thing they take is how you make them feel. And I think that's the important part, is if you come from a true place and you're speaking from a true place, people are going to feel you. People are going to dig you. People are going to love you. Always come from that place. Never let that place go. Be honest and true to yourself, and allow people to feel you. Thank you.
Superstitions, I can't
trainer conference 5 months ago to this day. It was incredible. The title of my speech is Incite Your Spirit, Ignite Your Soul, Visualize with Conviction. And for me, visualizing and acting as if was a huge part of my success as a trailblazer. And the reason is because it is a huge part of my success in my everyday life that I experience. I live and breathe this stuff. I live and breathe this stuff. And so for me, when I visualize with such emotion, such feeling, such detail, such attention to everything, that the only option left is to take action. I see that vision so clearly in my mind's eye, that the only option left is to take action, because I've done so with such conviction. And so the first step that I suggest to you, and I'm sure you're already there, is allow yourself to feel and see yourself as a trailblazer already. Anybody feel that, see that? Anybody else cry during the incantation that Andy ran, the visualization? The first time I went through that, I was in tears when he went through it, and I was like, oh my God, I see myself on stage, this is so real. It was incredible. And so, for example, my journey into IP began 5 years ago when Andy Dooley came to Omaha, Nebraska, and I went to his workshop. And what I knew of him there was his awesome hugs video. Oh my gosh, you guys gotta check that out. YouTube Andy Dooley hugs video. And so after the workshop, I went up to him with a book, Mike's book, and I said, hey, will you sign the book? And he signed the book, and I said, oh, will you write a note in the book to Mike? And he's looking at me like I'm weird. And I said, because you know what I'll have to do is, since I have a note for you, I'll have to give it to Mike. I'm already acting as if I got a note. And he's looking at me like, blink, 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 blink. And so I looked at him and I was like, you guys teach this stuff? And he goes, oh, yeah, okay. Look at me like I'm weird. So I say, Mike, Andy says hi. Message delivered. So, 5 years later, 5 months ago, to this day, I ended up at my first trainer conference and was actually able to show him that note. And again, at that time, my spirit was incited. I knew I wanted to be a trailblazer. I saw the trailblazer panel. Cheryl Creever Brown, when she was up here, yes, you girl, and when she was introduced and she felt the introduction, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be upstage, I want to feel the introduction. Feel that, write your bio. When I got back home, I started doing things, acting as if I was already a trailblazer. For example, I filled out the Trailblazer application, which asks some introspective questions. I also filled out the fabulous feedback forms. And I named it Fabulous Feedback Forms because what kind of feedback do you think you'll receive after your class? That's right! And what type of class do you think you are setting yourself up to deliver when you name it a fabulous feedback class form? Fabulous! You see how this stuff works? Incite your spirit, ignite your soul, visualize with conviction, acting as if. And so, then what I did was I moved forward. I began prepping myself. Of course, read the book. Oh, by the way, yes, read the book. That's an awesome book. Mike wrote an awesome book. I haven't read the book. He's got some great information. Incredible, really validating for a lot of things I found. So yeah, read the book. Familiarize yourself with some of the files on the trainer's page. Stay connected with the success of the trainers on the trainers page. That is awesome. There's a lot of things going on. This energy that you feel in the room, it's all on the trainers page. You can receive that. When somebody completes a class or is getting ready to give a woo-hoo and everything,
And once you set yourself up, you know, there's so much you can do. You train, you train, you train, you practice, you practice, you practice, you prepare. And then it's time to jump. And know that you will land beautifully. You can stick your landing, you can land fabulously, you can do a twirl, but just know and expect that you will land beautifully. When you have set yourself up for success, the only thing left to do is receive that success. And no matter how you land, you are going to rock it. One of the things that I did before I actually went into class is I gave a shout out and on the trainer's page, oh my God, I'm about to give my first class. And then everybody else, awesome, you're gonna rock it, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So to be able to look back on that and see everybody supporting me, I'm like, I'm gonna rock it. And I did. And this enthusiasm is what I brought to the class before each session. I was like, oh my God, you're gonna love this stuff. It changed my life in all these types of ways, and this is how visualization and acting as if worked in my life, and taking the baby steps, and your life will never be the same. By the way, you guys, after you leave this conference, your lives will never be the same. Oh my gosh, your lives will never be the same. And so I'm already planting that seed in their mind of this stuff is awesome and amazing. So they soaked it up. Oh my gosh, they absolutely soaked it up. And I was so scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared to death. But I knew that I could only succeed. I had this vision so clearly in my mind of me being a trailblazer on stage. And one of the things that I did at my first trainer conference was I took a picture with Mike. Not just any picture though, yes, I have that. But after the regular picture, I was like, ooh, will you take a picture with me on stage as if you're introducing me? And so he did. Have somebody that will be joining me that's been waiting very patiently for me to be here and take this place on stage, and I'm really excited. After you prepare, start thinking about the people that you want to train. During the incantation, I already had a vision that I wanted to train my workplace, that I wanted to train my mother. I did. That I wanted to train my boyfriend, or teach my boyfriend. So I taught him. No problem, baby, put your hand up. I taught my daughter, she's 12, and it was much the experience of April and her kids. Oh my gosh, they so get this. They are ready, their minds are ready to soak and absorb this. So anytime that I'm down in the dump, she totally just twists it around. Matter of fact, I had been doing the EFT stuff, and one time something happened, I was really frustrated, and she saw me getting ready to just kind of, and so she came up to me and she goes, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? She was tapping me. I love my baby. And so this stuff is amazing. And when you set yourself up, it's just move forward into it. Incite your spirit, ignite your soul, visualize with conviction. Feel this, see yourself up here. That's me! That's me! 5 months ago to this day. She's been waiting for me. That was me 5 months ago to this day, picturing that I would be on stage talking to you. You are all part of my dream come true. And when I thought that I couldn't move forward, I would look at that picture and I was like, girl, you know we got to do this. I'm waiting for you. And so this is me. Joining with me.
Stretch, everybody. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right. Changing your life is as easy as changing your shoes. When I first discovered Notes from the Universe back in 2012, my life was one big flip-flop. I was wearing a lot of different shoes. Heels to my day job at a tax office, neutral wedges to my acting auditions, mucklucks to my working student job at an equestrian center, and sandals for my days spent at home writing. By March 2012, I was off balance, floundering, and stressing. So much so that I couldn't breathe. My doctor ordered me to put on my sneakers and go to the cardiologist for a stress test. Yeah. Now, when I was in the cardiologist's office, I picked up a magazine. And there was an ad in the magazine, and it had the most beautiful pictures of mountains. And the ad read, "Come to Colorado. It will change your life." For real. The next morning, while still in my slippers, I received my notes from the universe. I was very compelled that morning to scroll all the way down to the end, and there, right before my very eyes, it read, "Join us for the next Train the Trainer in Denver. Finish it for me." You guys are good. Knowing that I was in need of change and that I was ready, I put on my travel shoes, I flew to Colorado, I attended the IP training, and it most definitely changed my life. And today, IP is changing your life. Today, you are ready. So, yes, I headed back home to my home in Los Angeles, California, and I immediately put on my Infinite Possibilities trainer shoes. I took baby steps to get started. I asked my boss at the tax office if I could use the office on a Saturday for a day-long IP workshop. With some flowers and the help of Mike's signs, which you can purchase in the back, I transformed the tax office into the most beautiful venue, proving that you can take any space and fill it with possibilities. Then I prepared lecture notes, activities, and I used a chapter from Mike's Cut DVD. I invited a handful of supportive girlfriends and invited them for this day-long workshop free of charge. Now, inviting a handful of supportive friends to my very first workshop was a great way to break in my IP shoes. I gained feedback, I took notes, and I had support. So you too can go home and start with that friend-based workshop. Very easy. Now, workshop number 2. Regina mentioned that back in 2012, I self-published a book called Small Shoes, Outgrowing Old Relationships and Finding the Right Fit. Per Mike's suggestion, I paired my book with the Infinite Possibilities material and developed a day-long workshop of developing a new style of thinking and living and finding your right fit. For the second workshop, I had an acquaintance, didn't know her very well, but she offered me her studio space for my second workshop. So I said, "Oh, thank you so much." And drawing from her database, I secured 30 participants and asked for a donation of $20. Now, I did encounter some stinky shoes in this workshop. Yeah. The acquaintance, as I soon found out, was dealing with a lot of personal issues, and she cast a pretty negative vibe when I was setting up for the workshop. As I was hanging, literally hanging, a sign that said, "Life is full of infinite possibilities. Love yourself. Love one another," she was sitting in the back, saying out loud, "Life is hard. I'm fat, and I hate babies." I couldn't make this up. To make matters worse, her studio looked a little like the inside of a movie theater that hadn't been cleaned in 5 years. Yeah. So, because I was so prepared, and I went the day before to set up. When did I go? Before. I could deal with these issues. And I had to walk my IP talk. It would have been very easy for me to succumb to negativity. I could have said, "Hold on, tamales. This studio is a wreck. It's 98 degrees outside. The air conditioner barely works. This woman is icky negative. I am alone. This workshop is doomed." my training. I kept my thoughts positive, and the vibration in the room lifted. And even though the floor was a little ah, and the chairs were a little ew, it ended up being a great day. Participants didn't want to leave at the end of the workshop. Lesson learned, if you walk your IP talk, you too can get out of any pinch. Now, up until this point, my participants and I had walked in similar shoes. I knew what it was like to try to manifest nicer clothes or a new car or vacation. But then, I co-facilitated a workshop for disadvantaged women. I never walked in a battered woman's shoes before, or that of a drug or alcohol addict, or even a divorced woman's shoes. I co-facilitated this workshop with the astounding trailblazer Jackie Clark, and together, we tailored the IP material to fit for this particular audience. Lesson learned, know your audience. Now, regardless if you've even remotely walked in your participants' shoes, if you speak from your heart, if you share your personal stories, which include your struggles and your triumphs, you're going to bond with your participants. Now, here's the thing. When you're doing these workshops, you're up there. It's you. Just you. And it's really, really very normal to be nervous. So this is an exercise, and I included it on your handout, which is on your table somewhere. This is an exercise to give nerves the boot and to pump yourself up before your workshops. When I look at all my participants getting ready, they're chit-chatting amongst themselves, and they're taking their seats, I stand there and I think, Camille, you don't have to do this. You can put your running shoes on and you can run right out of here. You can go up to your participants and say, hey, hi guys, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna go. I feel like I've changed my mind. You guys can stay. You know, I've got the room for the day, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go maybe shopping for some new shoes instead today, or better yet, I think I'm gonna put my flip-flops on and go to the beach. Now, I promise you, if you say this, and again, not out loud, do yourself. If you say this, your heart and mind are gonna start screaming, no, no, no! I want to be here. I have something to share. I can help people with their next steps. I can help people find their right fit. And all of a sudden, you're going to plant your feet on the ground in whatever shoes you're wearing, and you are going to teach. And you are going to soar. Now, some simple steps to get you started. Right when you get home, these are on your handout, or start right now. Pick a date. Invite a supportive friend base for that first workshop. Find a venue. And remember, that venue could be your backyard. And prepare. Especially those activities. I find activities and being interactive with your participants keeps them on their toes. On the back of your handout, there are a list of activities that have worked very, very well for me, and you are more than welcome to use them. Now, lastly, a good pair of shoes not only look good on your feet, but they offer support. I want each and every one of you just to take a moment and look at the people next to you and the people in this room. Go ahead, take a look, give a smile. This is your IP community. I have found the IP community to be the most supportive bunch of unconditional givers on the planet. Woo! Yeah. Starting with Mike. If you need a lift, reach out, post on our Facebook page, ask your questions, voice your challenges, and definitely celebrate